And they proceeded, right off the bat, they proceeded to tell me, you are to stop and desist from telling any more that you have done in the service. I said, and why should I comply to that? They said, because if you don't, we are prepared to take your life. I said, I'm not worried about you. I am protected. And they said, well, what about if we were to pull one of our weapons and shoot you? And I said, your weapon will not fire.
Well, obviously you're still around, and I think probably some of your best protection is being really visible. I know I've been
Yes.
listening to Stephen Greer with the Disclosure Project, and he has over
Uh-huh.
400 people. Two of them are generals and flight
Yep.
controllers and people that have observed UFOs and have actually been working with extraterrestrials. And some of the military people are saying that extraterrestrials are actually at the Pentagon, and they want to testify in front of Congress. And they're thinking
Yes.
that even though they're breaking their disclosure agreements and risking 20 years in Leavenworth, they're thinking it with a massive amount of people, like 400 people testifying in front of Congress, they're not going to throw them all in jail, because that would be worse than just leaving them alone. So I think high visibility is one of your safeguards also.
Yes, it is. If you stay silent and under their control, then they feel they have control of you. But when you take away their control, when you tell them, "I'm not worried about you. Do your worst," they realize that. Like in my case, they said when I got out of the military and I told them what I was going to. I even told them I was going to, relay what I did in the military, what Area 51's about, and they said, "Well, we're not worried about that because no one will believe you."
Right.
And so, you know, and I said, "Fine," and they even took away my pension to try to shut me up. I had upwards of 4,500 to $5,000 a month pension coming to me, and when I started, going talking at different places, they sent me a warning letter stating that I should not talk about what I did in the military, and consequences could be forfeiture. I can't even say it now. Forfeiture of my pension, and I said, "Take it," and it did.
Yeah, they have no trouble
So,
taking it.
no, they had no trouble at all. I got a notification at the end of the month saying your benefits or your pension has been terminated by order of the president.
So, Billy, where do you think this is going to end up? I think first of all, I should tell you that I had a UFO experience, so I know.
You have?
I know. Yeah, oh, yeah. When I was 10
What
years
happened?
old, coming out here from Ohio to California on the train, it was late at night,
Right?
and I got up. It
Uh-huh.
was probably 2 or 3 in the morning. We're probably in Arizona or New Mexico, somewhere out in the desert, and there was a glow that came over the inside of the train cab. As I got up to walk to get me a glass of water, as walking back, just everything turned a glowing red, and when I sit down in my seat, there was a cigar-shaped spacecraft following the train, and I would say it must have been at least 150 feet, because it was longer than our car, and along the side of it, the whole body was sort of a glowing red, and the whole side of it looked like windows, but I doubt if they were, but it looked like portals all along the side, and it followed us for about a minute, minute and a half. Then it went up over the train to the other side, and you could see all the light shift, and it followed us for another 30 seconds or 40 seconds and just shot off and disappeared. So ever since that sighting, I knew that there's something beyond what I was being told. And at a young age like that, it was like a crack in the dam of indoctrination. And so I've questioned everything. I pretty much doubted everything. I wrote a book recently about the social and neurological consequences of belief systems, because we have
Yeah.
been so heavily indoctrinated by our government, religions, and political institutions and corporations that most people live so far behind veils of illusions that what you're saying, a lot of them are going to turn it off by now. They're going to think there's nothing viable, nothing of value, and nothing real about this. What would you say to a person like that that would hold their attention to at least open their minds up to this?
I would tell them that they're dead, because if you don't expand your mind to the point of accepting a possible alternate reality, then you're closed-minded, and you know you're just not living. And what you saw was a mobile transport craft, transporting um, uh, dignitaries from other star systems. That was probably in the Dulce, New Mexico area where you were, uh, um, because there is a base located in that area, UFO base, uh, and it's not far from the Dulce complex. So, and there's AMRAIL or train tracks that go right alongside, not too far from that landing port. So that's probably what you were seeing, was the mobile transport from that area. Um, they Now, besides Area 51, there's other areas that are also of interest, which are also highly classified. Rising Star, Texas is one of those places. Um,
Like
there
Pine
was an
Gap?
incident. Pardon me.
Like Pine Gap?
Uh,
Yeah, there's different military bases all over the planet that are
yes,
increasing their
yes,
their seclusion and increasing their privacy.
yes,
Are
there
these
are.
are these bases hooked up to this underground tunnel system?
Yes, they are. All military bases are interconnected to the what you call I call it the spoked wagon wheel, uh, uh, tunneling systems that branch out from Area 51. Some of the tunnels are even quite extensive. Some of them even go underground, underneath due west, uh, straight out to the underwater, pardon me, the undersea crystalline pyramid off the coast of Hawaii, the north end of the island. You also have another pyramidal shaped structure not far from Catalina Island. And there's tunnels that go to those. Those are unfortunately those are uh, not accessible to the military.
So how does this have
Uh,
to how does this hook up with like Stargates? Like in Iraq, we're building a billion-dollar military base in a country that we're supposed to be leaving, and some people say that there's a Stargate there. Are these tunnels hooked up to some of these areas also?
yes, they are. Absolutely.
So what do you think a Stargate is?
A Stargate. Well, if for one, the Stargate is not a circle, as you see, as it's portrayed on the TV. Similar, but not quite. It's octagon
Yeah,
shaped.
that makes more sense.
Yeah, it's octagon shaped, but it's not the rings do not rotate. In essence, you dial in a destination, and the portal does open. It does look like water. It looks like liquid water, uh, similar to the uh, one you see on TV, but not exact. It does take you to other worlds. It does take you to other time periods. It can either be a time portal, or it can also be a intergalactic portal. But currently, the use of it is somewhat limited, to the point where only you're only allowed to travel to certain destinations. Other destinations are blocked off or sealed. You can't go to them. And
Do you think
they
that
do have that.
do you think that us here on Earth, do you think we're being confined to the planet right now to some degree?
Well, in a sense, yes. Mainly because the Earth, Mother Earth, Terra, is getting has started her ascension to the fifth dimensional phase, or uh, existence, if you will. And basically, the Federation of Planets want to keep people on the surface, um, pretty much in the dark. Well, not totally in the dark, but only to the degree that they don't go gallivanting up through the universe before they're ready. And the uh, the Federation of Planets also know that the ascension of Mother Earth has started already, and until that's complete, they don't want us going. They don't want us venturing out too far, because the entire planet is going through a change to the fifth dimension. You are currently in the fourth.
So, Billy, have you had any experience with other entrances to the Hollow Earth? Like the Hopi Indians have legends about the Hollow Earth, and they talk about a hole called Sipapu, which is the entrance to the Hopi underground, and it's a sacred place of pilgrimage for the Hopi at the bottom of the canyon of the Little Colorado, above its junction with the Colorado River. So apparently there are openings. I don't know if they're dimensional openings or actual physical openings, because when I was doing my interview with some people from Mount Shasta, it's actually more of a dimensional opening in the back of Mount Shasta, where the people that live down in there, the Agarthians, where they come out interdimensionally, and then they slow their vibration down to where they can materialize on a three-dimensional level. Have you ever experienced or been to any of these kind of openings?
You're speaking of Mount Shasta?
Anywhere.
Well, yes, I have. On Mount Shasta, and let's see, you go to Lower Panther Meadow campground, and you set up your camping gear. If you go up the mountain, going toward the Upper Panther Meadow, in between Lower Panther Meadow and Upper Panther Meadow, there is an opening. It is holographic in nature. The covering is, because it looks like a big rock face, actually, and if your heart and mind are in the right place at the time you're there, a guide will appear, and he will ask you if you wish to go in. And if that happens, then you can guarantee that you're ready to go in. Otherwise, if you're not, if your vibration level is not right, meaning that you're more